Do you want more Nic Fit? Because that's how you get more Nic Fit. Hello, and you asked for it, so you're getting it. We are playing some more Nic Fit today on the channel, and this time we are taking a slightly different spin on it, and actually trying to focus in on the Earthbending mechanic that was introduced in the Avatar: The Last Airbender set. So the core of the deck is still the Nic Fit that you know and love. We are looking to ramp with a absolutely massive amount of basic lands and sacrificing Veteran Explorer for value to Cabal Therapy and Flare of Cultivation to ramp as quickly as possible. And because of how greedy the legacy meta is, we have way more basics than our opponent. The symmetry is going to be broken very, very quickly because we have so many more basics to grab than our opponent does by sacrificing our Veteran Explorer and using all of that ramp to get into some crazy top-end finishers. So we've got all of the normal ones you expect to see. We've got Pelucranos, Chaos Defiler, Alpha Deathclaw, Emrakul the Promised End. But in this deck, we are also leaning in on the Earthbend mechanic in the form of using Bossing Say and Toph Hard-Headed Teacher. So if you haven't seen the Earthbend mechanic, basically what it is you turn a land into a 0/0 creature and put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the Earthbend number. And the cool thing about that is whenever that land gets removed, whether it's being destroyed, sacrificed, or even exiled, it actually returns to the battlefield tapped, so you never actually lose your land the way that you would when a lot of your lands are turned into creatures with other effects. So we're looking to lean into that hard with the help of Bossing Say, Earthbending for 2, and Toph Earthbending for 1 whenever you cast a spell, to be able to create these resilient blockers or resilient sacrifice outlets to be able to sacrifice a Cabal Therapy for value. So we have this whole shell backed up with a ton of interaction in the form of a full playset of Assassin's Trophies, 3 Pernicious Deeds, just to be able to mop up the board. And if you're earthbending all of your lands, you really don't care about your own creatures dying because they're just going to come back as lands when you pop your Pernicious Deed. We also have the full playset of Green Sun Zenith to be able to tutor out any creature you need, Malevolent Rumbles to be able to dig and mana ramp, and then a full playset of Endurances because the meta is still extremely graveyard dependent. Closing out the game, as I mentioned, we've got Pelucranos, which can attack on the battlefield and come back from the graveyard, Chaos Defilers to blow up your opponent's non-land permanents, Alpha Deathclaw to blow up any of your opponent's permanents, Rise of Sozin to be able to mop up the board and eventually turn into a big creature or snipe a key card out of an opponent's combo deck. And then Little Mama Emrakul to be able to take your opponent's turn, try to screw them out of the game, or just be a giant beater to close the game out. In the sideboard, it's basically just trying to hate on opponents' decks. We're not really trying to protect our own thing here because we don't have a combo. We just have like an engine. So we don't really need to protect our own game plan here. It's just kind of naturally resilient, and there's no one card that really fuels it that we have to protect. So we have Mind Break Traps for combo decks, Collector Oof for artifact decks, Disruptor Flute to be able to tax opponents in spell-based combo or to be able to shut down problematic activated abilities from planeswalkers, artifacts, stuff like that. Opposition Agent to be able to shut down any kind of deck that searches their library, such as lands, Doomsday, the Storm decks. And then a full playset of Leyline in the Void in addition to our Endurances because, as I said, the meta is still extremely graveyard focused. So let's see how this version of Nic Fit does in the current meta. I've had some great luck with some of the others that I built, and you were asking for some more Nic Fit, so here you go. If you like this video, do me a favor, drop a like and a comment below, and be sure to sub to the channel to know when my videos go live. And as an added bonus, if the channel hits 500 subs by the end of June, I will do free donation decks for everybody in all of July. So if you want to see your deck played on the channel, make sure you hit that sub button below. That all said, let's play some Magic. I'll catch you all in the wrap-up. Alright, so I'm filming in the middle of a thunderstorm, so we are hoping that the power holds out for this one. Alright, our starting hand, it doesn't really do much on turn 1, but I can Green Sun for a Veteran Explorer on turn 2, Flare of Cultivation, start ramping up to this top end stuff. So it's a little slow, but I think we're going to go ahead and keep this and give it a shot. All right, opponent kept on 7 as well. We are going to start off on the swamp just so we can't get wastelanded. And to make our opponent think maybe we're on like that mono black aggro deck that's running around and I'm threatening like Dark Ritual into a opposition agent or that I'm holding up like a Fatal Push or something. Blue mana, okay, into a Preordain. So this is some kind of blue combo deck of some sort. It's just a matter of what variety of blue combo are they. And they bottomed both of those, so I like that quite a bit. This could be High Tide. This could be Sneak and Show. I actually ran into Thought Lash combo recently. So I think because we might need this Boseiju up, we're going to go ahead and play the Peatland and just take some damage here. They might try to counter this. If they do, that's annoying, but not the end of the world. Forcible pitching a Lorien Revealed. Okay, well, next turn we can just cast the Flare of Cultivation. So what we've seen out of our opponent still isn't really telling us anything. If it is in fact Show and Tell, like Alpha Deathclaw and Chaos Defiler are both very good things to be able to put in off of a Show and Tell. I'm more worried about something like High Tide. Hit a Malevolent Rumble. So like we could Malevolent Rumble first. See if we can find a Veteran Explorer, then do the thing. It does ramp us a bit. I think we are going to try to Malevolent Rumble first. I am still holding on to this Boseiju just in case. Endurance, double Pernicious Deed, and a Pelucranos. I think we're going to take the Endurance here. It gives us some game up against graveyard strategies, and we will play the Boseiju now. Based off of what we're seeing from our opponent, I don't think Pernicious Deed is really going to do anything, so I'm pretty comfortable chucking that to an Endurance if we need to, if they're on some kind of graveyard-style blue strategy. Well, it cracks their Scalding turn. Grabs another basic island, so I am very much getting High Tide vibes from this. Followed by an Impulse, yeah. So, like, Deathclaw can blow up some lands, but we really don't have anything main deck other than our discard spells to really be able to interact with our opponent here. And, like, High Tide sort of uses the graveyard, but only in a, like, they're wheeling themselves sense. And plays another island and passes the turn. I would very much like some discard. Like, Pernicious Deed can wipe up some Candelabras and stuff, but that's already going to have done its damage. And we do have a Veteran Explorer. However, they're very heavy on basic islands, so I'm a little concerned about that. But I think it is worth it just to get our mana under us more and get a clock on the battlefield. Like, this very well may be giving our opponent basically unlimited mana here if they are in fact High Tide, but we are going to go ahead and grab a Forest and a Swamp off of the Veteran Explorer. And we actually can play Alpha Deathclaw this turn. And off of this, I think we're going to go ahead and grab Mountain Forest. And we will put the Mountain onto the battlefield tapped. Then we can play the Forest. And we can just play the Deathclaw. I mean, if they counter this, they counter this, but we're going to try to get a Deathclaw down, blow up a land. Okay. And we can turn it monstrous next turn to be able to blow up another land. And I mean, we still have Endurance, but I also think they only grabbed one basic off of that Veteran Explorer as well. Okay. I don't hate them just playing a Ponder, that's fine. And if we do monsters this Alpha Deathclaw, we kill a land and we have a 2-turn clock. Did not shuffle off of the Ponder. Found another land. 3 mana. Okay, it's a Show and Tell. Okay, so this is mono blue Show and Tell? We can put Chaos Defiler in, and Chaos Defiler can blow up Omniscience before they can cast a creature. If they are in a Cunning Wish build, they can win over this, but it doesn't look like they are. Okay. I like that quite a bit. I feel much more comfortable up against Show and Tell than I do up against whatchamacallit, High Tide Storm. So we can play Bossing Say, make this monstrous, blow up another land, and they have 1 turn to get out of this. Okay, and opponent scoops it up. Alright, I like that quite a bit. Taking down Show and Tell in game 1. In the sideboard, I think we just bring in Disruptor Flutes and take out the Endurances. The Endurances aren't doing anything. They're not a graveyard deck, and this can kind of slow them down and We didn't see any red. They could have sneak attack or something, but they look like they're just mono blue Omni-Tell almost. But if they are mono blue, that means they do have Cunning Wish, and they're gonna wait until they can go off with Cunning Wish before they do the show and tell. But we're gonna try something like this. This hand does absolutely nothing. We gotta ship this. This hand has a Cabal Therapy, which I like quite a bit, followed up by an Assassin's Trophy. It doesn't really do much else, but I think we will keep this, and I still do not see Pernicious Deed doing much in this matchup, so we'll bottom that one. So I think what we're going to do is turn 1, just Cabal Therapy, name Show and Tell. Opponent plays a Scalding Turn, goes and finds an island, casts a Preordain. Bottom both, okay, that's good. And we hit a Forest. Well, we will start out with Swamp into Cabal Therapy. They don't counter it. So we're going to name Show and Tell. We do not hit. Okay, so there is a red splash for Lightning Bolt. They do have Cunning Wish. Okay. The best thing that could happen here is we find a Veteran Explorer. Ancient Tomb into Stock Up. Okay. We also could theoretically go for a win when they cast the Cunning Wish if we just hold up Assassin's Trophy and Boseiju to be able to blow up the Omniscience with the Cunning Wish on the stack, and then they can't cast whatever they get off of it for free. We're probably best just holding up Boseiju here. And we hit a Bossing Say. Well, we will play a Forest and pass the turn. We kind of have to wait until we can hold up mana to be able to cast a spell and still hold up Boseiju and Assassin's Trophy. Another Stock Up. Okay. Looks like our opponent might be discarding cards here unless they can play a land and a 1-drop somehow without it being a cantrip. But it looks like they're missing lands. Like, we could Boseiju the Ancient Tomb, but it's just going to replace itself. And opponent chucked the Lightning Bolt. Okay. Oh, we hit a Veteran Explorer. I like that quite a bit. So we can play this. They're very much incentivized to counter this, but they didn't. So we are going to go ahead and take the Cunning Wish here. Go grab some lands. I think we're going to go ahead and grab a black and a red here. Because we can play Bossing Say for our green mana. Because we haven't played a land yet this turn. So let's grab a mountain and a swamp. This does give our opponent more mana. And they can brainstorm here. So they're probably going to try to hide their 2 best cards. They might hide this Cunning Wish. Do we think they hid the Cunning Wish is the question. I think they did. So I'm going to name Show and Tell here again. They did not. Okay. So they have quite the hand going for them here. And we can play Bossing Say. We could play Grist here, but I think we're just going to pass the turn. If they Show and Tell, we can Show and Tell in Grist. Unfortunately, if they do have a Show and Tell here into an Omniscience, that's a problem. Alright, there's a Scalding Turn. And they're just passing the turn. I think we're going to go ahead and activate Bossing Say here, so we're trying to get some damage in. Except, actually, I don't think I can, because I don't have green mana to go with it. So, never mind on that point. We hit a Malevolent Rumble. Let's go ahead and cast that. We hit a Forest and a Rise of Sozin. I think we will take the Rise of Sozin, because we can Show and Tell that in to be able to blow up our opponent's lands, or creature, if they Show and Tell something in that way. And I think we still have to just hold up our Boseiju, because we know they have the Force of Will. Opponent's just going to Cunning Wish now. Okay, are they Cunning Wishing for an Intuition? Do they have an Intuition in their sideboard? Because Intuition can go get them... No, through the Breach. And... Unfortunately, Boseiju gets them a basic, so does Assassin's Trophy. I think we're just dead here, unfortunately. I don't think there's anything we can do. We can take an Emrakul hit, but then we don't have anything going on. And they have a whole bunch of cantrips. I'm trying to think if there's a way that we can get out of this. We could try to get their Force of Will out of hand. We could Assassin's Trophy the Ancient Tomb, but that just gives them another land and they still have 5. I think we're going to attempt to play this Grist. Oh, this is our end step? Never mind. Yeah, I think we're just dead here, unfortunately. They're fetching with their Scalding Tarn. They do have a basic mountain. Do we think they have another basic to be able to get off of this Boseiju is the question. I'm sure they do. I think they showed us 4 islands last time. I will let them draw, and then I will Boseiju this Ancient Tomb. I'm pretty sure they have something they can put into play here. Oh, and Through the Breach is an instant anyways. Yeah, okay. So they're sneaking, or showing Breach. Okay. I don't think that makes us change anything. I think we just run it back and hope that we can have a even more interactive hand. So let's try that. Okay, I don't hate this, so we're going to go ahead and keep it. So we will lead off with Forest into Veteran Explorer. And then if we don't draw a black source, we'll play Last Type Quarry, just sacrifice a Veteran Explorer to Cabal Therapy. Basic island from the opponent and passes the turn. That's fine. And then we can follow up with a Green Sun Zenith to flash back to Cabal Therapy and ramp even more. We hit a Boseiju, so we will play a Lazotep Quarry. We will get in for 1 with our Veteran Explorer. We will make black mana, sacrifice the Veteran Explorer. And I think the first one we're going to name Force of Will. So I think we want to go ahead and grab black and green off of the first one. Cabal Therapy. Our opponent's going to Brainstorm. And we are going to name Force of Will with the first one to make sure that the second one resolves. Omniscience, Cunning Wish, Preordained, Grafdigger's Cage. Okay, so they could Cunning Wish for something based off of what we're about to do here. But I think we're going to go ahead and just grab the Omniscience. Pay 2. They don't have any counter magic. We're going to grab another Veteran Explorer. Flashback. Grab some more lands. And off of this one, we are going to grab a Forest and a Mountain. An opponent ran out of basics, so they actually can't. And now we're going to name Omniscience. And then we will pass a turn. We can start trying to hit their mana as well. We do know they have a basic, or the mountain's in their hand, I guess, so they actually don't have that. So if they're preordaining now, I think we will pass, like, we'll wait until their end step and then we'll start blowing up their basics. We can always get a Veteran Explorer back with Lazotep Quarry. So we know they have 5 basics. These Assassin's Trophies are going to be straight up just sinkholes, basically. Alright, they're playing the Grafdigger's Cage. That's mostly fine. And they have an Ancient Tomb. So we might actually just blow that up instead. Just cut them off of raw mana here. They can Cunning Wish here if they want to, but then they can't cast whatever they get off of the Cunning Wish. Alright, just let it go. They shouldn't have any more... Oh, okay, so they sandbagged basics off of their Veteran Explorer, which is a little bizarre, but okay. We can get back Veteran Explorer, but we can't sack it to Flare of Cultivation because it becomes black. We can just cast this Flare of Cultivation for now, just to get some more lands out of our deck, and hold up as much interaction as possible. We will grab a Swamp and a Forest, put the Swamp into play the Forest, pass the turn. And we can always blow up this Grafdigger's Cage if we need to as well. I'd feel much better if I had some kind of clock on the battlefield currently. Ponder from the opponent. There might be something said about going after this Grafdigger's Cage just in case we hit a Green Sun Zenith on our next draw so that we have all of our mana available to us, and I might actually just do that. Scalding Tarn from the opponent. Fetches with the Scalding Tarn. Fails to find. Okay, Ponder. So they have all of their lands in their hand, is what I'm hearing here. And opponent did not shuffle off of that, so that makes me think they might have a... Well, they might have found a Brainstorm, or they could have found their Through the Breach. With them failing to find, that makes me want to go after their lands. And I think I might. Yeah, I think we're just going to go after their lands here. since they failed to find. Try to keep them off of the 5 mana that they need to be able to through the breach. Why is our opponent failing to find lands? That's what I want to know. We hit an Emrakul. We only have 3 card types in graveyard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're 2 mana short. I think we are going to go ahead and get back a Veteran Explorer here, just so we have a clock on the battlefield, and if they do manage to sneak in an Emrakul, it allows us to rebuild a little bit. And we were still going to hold up Beseiju, just to be safe. As opponent... No, they're cycling a Lorien revealed, okay. It's really interesting that our opponent is sandbagging these lands when we have a Veteran Explorer on the battlefield. Alright, there's an island. I'm assuming... Okay, it's a show and tell. We're going to show and tell in our own Emrakul here. And they do show and tell in an Omniscience. And then I think our slot here... Okay, they have a stock up. They use this... They haven't used this Cunning Wish yet. So I think I still need to just wait. We can take an Emrakul hit and hit them back for 17 on the backlash. The problem is like, if they pop off this Cunning Wish, they can just go off over the top, so we kind of just have to let them try to fizzle here until they throw the Cunning Wish on the stack. 2 top, 0 bottom, that's concerning. That is an Emrakul. Unfortunately, I think we're probably just dead here now. So opponent's going to go to their next turn. We'll see if there's some world where they do, like, 1 damage to themselves here. But with an Omniscience, they shouldn't need to. Alright, the Annihilator trigger on the stack. I can float some mana and then sacrifice a bunch of my redundant lands. I could sacrifice Veteran Explorer. So, sack some redundant colored lands. And then the question just becomes is, do I want to try and... I mean, the Veteran Explorer basically replaces itself. I don't know if we really have a way to deal with this Emrakul on a second one, but we're going to go ahead and sack the Veteran Explorer. And then we have to sacrifice 1 more land. I guess we can sacrifice another forest, because it's just going to replace itself anyways. They fail to find any basics. We can get 2 more forests. And then we just take 15. There's the Cunning Wish. This is our opening to be able to hit the Omniscience with the Beseiju, but we still don't really have any way to deal with this. Like, we're just short to be able to actually close this game out. I will say, it's funny to see a battle of the Emrakuls going on right now. That makes my heart happy, I'm not gonna lie. They had double Cunning Wish. Oh, God. Okay. I mean, good game, opponent. This is going to be the game right here, because they can go get, like, a shared summons and go grab another Emrakul and just take another turn after this one. Firemind's Foresight. Okay. Or are they just going to go for the Release the Ants kill? Do they already have another Emrakul is the question, to be able to go for the Release the Ants kill? So if you haven't seen this before, this is what the Cunning Wish builds of Omni-Tell and Sneak and Show do, is they have Cunning Wish to be able to go grab Firemind's Foresight, to grab another Cunning Wish, an Impulse, and a Brainstorm. And what they're going to do is they're going to try to find an Emrakul, or in this case, an Atraxa does it, but they don't know that the highest mana cost in our deck is only 6. And they can use one of the Cunning Wishes to grab a Release the Ants, which they then brainstorm the Emrakul or the Atraxa at the top of the deck, and then just play... Oh, Trick Bind. Interesting. Okay, well, that's another way to do it, I guess. Yeah, this will stop the Beseiju trigger, but what I was going to say is they brainstorm to put Atraxa or Emrakul on the top of their deck, use the Cunning Wish to go grab or Release the Ants, and then just keep casting Release the Ants, because your creature is always going to be bigger to be able to burn your opponent out and win the clash every time to put Release the Ants back in your hand. And that was actually the build of Sneak and Show I used to have in paper, was the Cunning Wish Release the Ants build. But now they could just go ahead and grab a shared summons, grab another Emrakul and an Atraxa, cast that, take another turn, kill me. So, very well fought, opponent. Intuition, or they just Intuition for another Emrakul. Because they've still got 3 in their deck, so they can guarantee that they're going to get an Emrakul off of this. I guess I give them the Force of Will. Maybe they only have 3 Emrakuls. But this does mean that they definitively can counter whatever I do next. Because it's either give them an Emrakul and accept defeat right here and now, or give them the Force of Will knowing that I'm not going to be able to actually resolve whatever the next thing I draw is, which is a Green Sun Zenith. Which, I mean, if for some reason they don't counter this, I can grist away this Emrakul. But the chances of them letting this Green Sun Zenith resolve, which actually it doesn't even matter because they have the Grafdigger's Cage anyways. So, this is over. We'll just hit them for the 13 with little Emrakul. And then we just die on the crackback. But wow, that was super hard fought. Good game, opponent. Good game. Alright, lost the die roll. This is a little wonky because I don't actually have colored mana for this Veteran Explorer. We could trust that we draw one and hope this Cabal Therapy gets us somewhere, but I don't trust drawing the actual green mana we need for the Veteran Explorer. This is also not able to really do anything, so unfortunately we're going to 5. I guess we're going to 4. That hand doesn't do anything either. I guess we keep this one, put a Mountain. I think we put Mountain Endurance Grist back and just hope that we draw into what we need. That was some very, very unfortunate mulliganing. Arid Mesa from the opponents. I'm guessing this is probably energy based off of that. This might be a very quick scoop here. Into a Plains, into an Aether Vial, so... Oh, I didn't even realize this was Yorion deck. This is Death and Taxes, okay. We hit another Green Sun Zenith, so I guess we'll play Nurturing Peatland and pass the turn. Unfortunately, our mulligan kind of put us at a massive disadvantage. Maybe we should have kept that first hand and trusted that we would find the green mana, but I don't think the math was on our side, and kind of Cabal Therapying in the pseudo-blind probably wasn't going to do much of anything. Alright, so Overlord of the Baelmer, so they're definitely a Felia version. And they can get back a Solitude or an Emperor of Bones here, and they get back the Solitude. So even green sunning for a Veteran Explorer probably isn't going to help us very much here. We hit a Forest. I think it's worth trying to tax them here. Like, we're going to try to grab a Veteran Explorer here, see if they want to pitch 2 cards to get rid of it so that we don't get any basics off of it, but I don't think this is going to go particularly well. I could have also blown up the Aether Vial or the Overlord here, but I think our mulligan was just too bad on this one. We're way, way too far behind at this point, unfortunately. Marsh Flats from the opponent. The other problem with, against Death and Taxes specifically, like 90% of their removal is exile, so we're probably not getting the death trigger off of Veteran Explorer unless they actively want it. They grab another Plains into a Recruiter of the Guard. Okay. So what do they want? Probably a Felia to be able to flash in with the Aether Vial? Yes, it was a Felia. I mean, we can kill the Overlord in response to the Felia trigger, so that is something. But I think we're just so far behind right now that it doesn't super matter. We'll play a Peatland, play another Explorer, see if they want basics as well. Alright, opponent apparently doesn't want basics as well. And they're going to Vial in the Felia here, I'm sure. Yes. And their plan is going to be to bounce the Overlord to get it back. We can at least kill that in response. And hopefully block the Felia to be able to get some basic lands out of the deal. But like I said, I really do not like where we're at. That mulligan to 4 really, really hurt us. Ooh, and their Swordslinger Veteran Explorer. Okay. Like I said, that's the problem with this deck is like 99% of their removal is going to be exile-based. And we're about to take 4 here, so opponent plays a Marsh Flats. They're going to get in with the Felia and the Recruiter. They're going to try to blink the Overlord. And, I mean, we're going to kill the Overlord, but we're going to take 2 damage in the process. If we hit another land and they somehow don't have a white card in hand, we could Green Sun for Grist, sacrifice a Veteran Explorer, kill the Felia, but we know they have a Solitude in hand. And we'll take another 3, so we took 5 total that turn. They could also always put Yorion in hand just to guarantee they have a white card to be able to pitch. Alright, they're not putting Yorion in hand. We hit a Forest. I mean, I hate to do this, but I think this is realistically our only shot here. And there very much is a world where they just flash in the Solitude to exile our Veteran Explorer. Unless they actively want the lands. Because they actually could just flash in the Solitude anyways, and then just beat down this Grist. Or they just have an Orcish Bowmasters. Yeah, I'm going to scoop it up here. This might be a little bit of an early scoop, but that mulligan to 4 really, really hurt us. In the sideboard, I mean, like, we can bring in Disruptor Flutes, we could bring in Collector Oof, and we could bring in Opposition Agents. Some easy cuts would be probably Endurances, because their Graveyard Synergies is going to be Overlord of the Bailmerk, and there's not really a trigger to be able to respond to it. I like all of our sweeper effects. Our opponent has quite a bit of cards that we care about, but maybe the Cabal therapies aren't going to be super relevant. Our opponent's going to have a decent amount of basic lands, so maybe the Flare Cultivations aren't the way we want to go. I hate to say it, but I don't think Toph is really going to be doing much in this matchup. Like, the Earthbending is nice because it makes our lands removal-proof, but they're going to have Karakas, and Toph is just going to kind of get destroyed. I don't think Polukranos is really going to be safe either. Again, exile-based removal and Karakas kind of makes that not the greatest thing in the world. I like all of our destroy effects. I don't think Emrakul is going to be relevant this game, unfortunately. I think we might trim 1 Flare of Cultivation to bring all of this in. So, like, Disruptor Flute can help tax activated abilities of stuff, or shut those down, make stuff cost more. Collector can shut down their Aether Vials. Opposition Agent can shut down their Search effects. So I think we're going to try bringing all of these in, take this whole pile out here, and Death and Taxes just seems like a very, very rough matchup versus Nic Fit, but we'll see. Alright, this hand doesn't do anything. Mulliganing yet again. Okay, this hand is a little bit better. Our opponent keeps on 7. We're going to go ahead and keep this. And I think we're going to put 1... Do we want to put a snow-covered island to the bottom? I think we're going to put a snow-covered island to the bottom. And we will lead off with a forest. Play a Veteran Explorer. I think I said island when I meant forest. I don't know. It's a little late today, and I'm not going to lie, the weather's been fucking me up a little bit today, so... But player Veteran Explorer, pass. See if it ends up getting exiled right away. Karakas from the opponent into an Aether Vial. Okay. We hit a Boseiju. We could blow up this Aether Vial, but I think we're going to get into attack first. It does ramp them a little bit, but it stops them from being super mana efficient, so it might be worth it here. However, it gets us further away from this Pernicious Deed. We will play Nurturing Peatland. I think Vial on 1 isn't the scariest thing in the world. We can see what their next draw is, and then we can decide if we want to kill this Aether Vial or not. Prismatic Vista from the opponent. Into a Swamp. Okay. Into a Thoughtseize. I mean, I guess they can't take the Boseiju, so there's no point in doing this in response. They're probably either going to take Chaos Defiler or Pernicious Deed here. They might take Green Sun Zenith just because it's our next available creature. But at this point, we're getting what? Another Veteran Explorer? Like, it's not really worth it. I guess they don't know that, but... Alright, they decided the Pernicious Deed was the problem. And no follow-up. Okay. And we hit a snow-covered swamp. I mean, I guess we'll play that. And get in with the Veteran Explorer. 2 counters is where we start getting problems. And apparently we're getting blessed by the Tattle. Say hello, Tattle! Alright, there's your required animal video of the week, I guess. I also currently have Nahiri hiding under my desk because it's thundering out, and she is absolutely terrified of thunder. So, Vial on 2 is definitely scarier. I'm debating if we need to go ahead and kill the Vial now, or if we need to hold on to the mana. I think we need to kill this, unfortunately. It does give them another land, but I'm less scared of them having another land and actually having to pay mana for their spells and being able to flash stuff in with Vial. And they went and found a scrub land. They also do have perfect information about what our hand is at the moment. Apparently, Tattle is not a fan of the weather either. She's very much wanting comfort from her dad. And we hit an Emperor of Bones. There's no creatures in the graveyard at the moment, so that's actually fine. Eats my Pernicious Steed. Okay. And we hit a Disruptor Flute. We could name Emperor of Bones with this. We kind of want to land to be able to try to hit a Grist. I think we're just going to hold back here, unfortunately. If they want to attack in with this Emperor Bones, then we'll block and we'll get some more mana. We have enough mana for the Chaos Defiler the following turn. Unless they just happen to have exile-based removal to get rid of this Veteran Explorer before we can block. And they do in the form of Swords to Plowshares. We could have Green Sun there for another Veteran Explorer, but I don't think that was going to get us where we needed to be. Opponent plays a Marsh Flats, cracks the Marsh Flats, grabs another Scrub Land, and just hard casts a Overlord of the Baelmerk. Yeah, I think this is virtually over at this point. Stoneforge, Solitude, Stoneforge. Now they kind of just have a stone or a Solitude loop where they can like pitch cast. Oh, they took a Stoneforge. Interesting. I was gonna say they have this kind of interesting loop where they can pitch cast Solitude to evoke, let it die. All right, so they're gonna eat a Stoneforge Mystic, and just keep getting it back every time they attack with the Overlord of the Baelmerk. Well, because we know they're relying on Stoneforges, we're just going to flash and Disruptor Flute, name Stoneforge Mystic. At least shut them down from being able to activate the Stoneforge Mystic. They're at enough mana where they can cast pretty much everything other than Cauldron and Meteor Sword at this point anyways. I mean, Assassin Trophy is something. It can kill the Overlord. But, yeah, that Mulligan to 4 in game 1, and we really have not been hitting anything we need this game. And just in general, Death and Taxes is very good against Nic Fit. If we're being completely honest, Nic Fit's really not a tier contender anyways. We already knew we were going to be fighting an uphill battle, but see if they want to put a Stoneforge. Okay, no, they're just going to eat Beseiju. I think we're just going to kill the Overlord now just so they can't get anything back with it. Somehow our ramp deck is 2 mana behind our opponent's non-ramp deck at this point. And we know they're going to be able to get a basic off of this, so they have twice the amount of mana we have, despite the fact that we are a ramp deck ourselves. We can just F6 through the turn from here. See if they want to get the extra damage in with the Emperor and tutor something out. They also can eat their own Overlord with the Emperor Bones if they don't do their thing now, but they're going to play a Recruiter of the Guard. Let's see what they grab. They find a Skyclave Apparition, which they can cast to get rid of our Disruptor Flute. Like, we're going to give this one more draw. I really don't think there's anything that's going to get us back into this at this point. There's a world where if we draw Pernicious Steed, they don't have an answer, we can mop up the board. We hit an Assassin's Trophy. Like, this is just so bad on every level at this point. Like, we kind of just have to hit this Emperor Bones now before they can activate it. Like, we're putting up the good fight here, but unfortunately, it is just not enough today. But, I mean, hopefully we can rally in the back half of the league here. Like, I know we're not technically dead, and we have a long way to go, but, like, our opponent is so far ahead. We are the ramp deck, and our opponent has over twice as many lands as we do at this point. And they're probably just going to grab a Cauldron here. Okay, they grab a pre-war Formal Wear to get back probably Emperor of Bones, if I had to take a guess. Like I said, I think our only out at this point, yeah, getting back the Emperor of Bones. If we can find a Pernicious Steed, and our opponent not find an answer for it, and we can mop up the board, we might have a chance here. And this gives us the ability to get Overlord back, create a token of it. Yeah, grabbing the Overlord, they can make a copy of it, swing for a ton of damage, get something else back here. I think our only real out, and even then, it's probably too late at this point with the amount of damage that's going to be coming in here, is to draw a Pernicious Deed, our opponent not have an answer for it, and then be able to mop up the board. But even then, I don't think we're going to be able to survive because we're taking 2, 4, 7 damage here. I mean, I guess that gives us another turn to survive. But if it's literally not Pernicious Deed, them not having an answer, then I don't think we have any possible shot. Like, if our draw next turn is not exactly Pernicious Deed, I think we're just dead. And our opponent got back a Recruiter of the Guard with the first ability, and probably getting back a Solitude with the second one? No. Chose Flicker Wisp. Yeah, it's gotta be Pernicious Deed off of the top or we're dead. And that's the last step, Corey. Yeah, that's game. A little unfortunate, but I mean, this is a hard match. Let's see if we can rally in the back half here. Alright, time to rally. Won the die roll. Let's not have some rough-ass mulligans this time. Okay, I like this. We can keep this. This is turn 1 into Veteran Explorer, turn 2 Cabal Therapy, flashback Cabal Therapy. So I like this quite a bit. We're going to take a little bit of damage here, but I think that's fine. We have some nice top-end stuff to be able to ramp into. Play the Peatland. Play a Veteran Explorer. And ship the turn. Hope our opponent is not on some kind of combo deck that can turn 1 us here. Tundra. Into a Ponder. Okay. So what version of blue-white is this? Is this Cephalic Breakfast? Is this just blue-white control? I think we're going to start off with Cabal Therapying Force of Will. Make sure that our second Cabal Therapy resolves. Force of Negation pitching Ponder. Okay. Well, that's a little annoying. That stops our ramp, and I'm sure they have exile-based removal, which is going to mean we don't get to ramp. Polluted Delta. Into a Bayou. Is this 4-color beans? Okay, Leyline Binding. So this looks like it's 4 or 5-color beans. We have outs to this Leyline if we draw them, but our mana's a little wonky here. Hitting land drops is good. We can always just flash in an Endurance just to have a clock. And our opponent is down to 4 cards, now going to be 5, without a beans on the battlefield, so that's helpful. Into a Brainstorm, okay. Into an Underground Sea. Into a Beans. Before they draw, I'm going to flash in this Endurance, so if they have a Force of Will, it doesn't draw them a card. Alpha Deathclaw is definitely not what we're looking for here. We are 1 land away from just casting this Chaos Defiler, though. But unfortunately, we are definitely the beatdown here. This Rise of Sozin really isn't going to do much against them. I mean, like, they've got Quantum Riddlers and shit like that, but if they're at the point where they actually have Quantum Riddlers sticking around, we're so far behind that Rise of Sozin isn't going to matter. And it looks like they're just hitting lands at this point, so hopefully they're just mana flooded over there. Opponent keeps tapping, untapping mana. Okay, there's a Quantum Riddler. So they get to draw 2 off of this, unfortunately. Okay, so we have Beseiju. We can either Beseiju away the Beans, or we could Beseiju away the Leyline Binding. They're not going to have a ton of basics here. I think we're going to go ahead and attack first before we do anything. We could also just play the Beseiju and play Chaos Defiler, but that opens us up to Force of Will, just completely ruining our day. This is a really tough spot to be in. I guess we have so many other things here. Like, if we hit another land, we have both Alpha Deathclaw and Rise of Sozin. So this might be a mistake, but we're going to try to do this. Alright, they did have a Force of Will, but at least it's taxing their mana. And we're 1 mana away from being able to try to Alpha Deathclaw to get rid of this Beans. Cracking their Flooded Strand. Like, that might have been a mistake, but I feel like that was kind of like half a 1... or 6 of one, half of this is the other kind of situation where it's like the mana's almost more important. Okay, Uro. They don't have the mana to be able to do anything with Uro yet. And we do have a bunch. Okay, well, there's. No, they still don't have double green. Now they do. And they're down to 3 cards. If we draw a land, that helps. Or we hit a Pelucranos, which I guess we'll just cast. See if they got another Force of Will here. Alright, Polukranos resolved. As much as I hate it, I think we're just a beatdown here. Like, they have the mana to get Uro back, but they don't have the cards in the graveyard yet, and maybe we can just race them and beat them down fast enough. They've only got 3 cards in hand, but they can go ahead and play a Riddler next turn, but I guess the Polukranos can attack through that. They also have all 5 colors to be able to cast a 1-mana Leyline Binding. So literally what I was about to say. I'm assuming they're going after the Polukranos. Yes, okay. They still don't have the cards in the graveyard, though, to be able to flash back this Uro yet. And an Orcish Bowmasters, okay. Brainstorm, so they're 1 card away from being able to get Uro back. In which case, we're 1 land away from being able to Rise of Sozin to try to do the thing. Okay, Swords to Plowshares. They now have the mana to get back Uro. If we hit a land, we can Rise of Sozin and wipe the board up and kind of stabilize a little bit. And they have 3 cards in hand, so they could still have a Force of Will. Flare of Cultivation that's about a turn too late, but I mean, we gotta cast it. Grab a Forest and a Swamp. Put the Swamp onto the battlefield, play the Forest, and then hope that we can get there next turn with a Rise of Sozin and they don't have any Force of Wills. We kind of just gotta pass the turn here. Just let them do their thing. They play a Ponder. The chances of them not having counter magic here are slim to none, but, like, casting a Rise of Sozin is really our only hope here. Well, we have a Cabal Therapy. We could name Force of Will with this and see what happens, and then still have the mana to be able to Rise of Sozin afterward. Alright, well, they're getting rid of a Force of Will. They pitched a Brainstorm to that. So do they find another counter spell on top of that is the question. Apparently not. They're 2 cards away from being able to get back the Uro. Fetching with their Polluted Delta. They're 1 card away from being able to get back the Uro, but we can play an Alpha Deathclaw and hopefully get back into this. Into another Orcish Bowmasters. Okay. What do we think the biggest problem is going to be here that we name with Rise of Sozin? Is this double Orcish Bowmasters? Yes, it is. Okay. Triple Orcish Bowmasters. I think that's 3, a 3, 3. Yeah, that's death. Okay. Triple Orcish Bowmasters for the win. Got it. So, this has been rough. Against what our opponent's doing, like, honestly, we really don't have much for them. I mean, we could bring in Disruptor Flutes. We could bring in Leylines. Like, they do have Delve spells, so maybe the Leylines are worth it. But if we bring in the Leylines, what are we taking out? Like, we kind of just like our main deck. Maybe the Pernicious Deeds, because, like, most of their stuff is going to be so big, a Pernicious Deed for a huge amount isn't super realistic. I think we do want to bring the Leylines in. I think we're going to take out the Pernicious Deeds. We have enough removal for other stuff here. And then they have so much exile-based removal. Like, I hate to do it, but I almost want to take out a Veteran Explorer. Maybe we take out 1 Malevolent Rumble and try something like that. Okay, so I had to run to the bathroom real quick. Not gonna lie. I came back as it hit 1 second. We're going to see if it kept my changes. Okay, it did. So we have Veteran Explorer into Veteran Explorer. We have a Leyline. Like, we're relying really hard on finding something to sack these Veteran Explorers too. But I think we're going to go ahead and keep this and trust in our deck. We saw what happened when we didn't trust the deck last time. So put out our Leyline, play Nurturing Peatland, play a Veteran Explorer. Opponent plays a Tropical Island, and passes the turn. Okay. Okay, we're hitting lands. I like that. We can get in with our first Veteran Explorer. We don't have a Sacrifice outlet yet, but having 2 Veteran Explorers on the battlefield and hitting our lands with a Green Sun Zenith, I like quite a bit. And there's and they have a Tamiyo. I really hope at some point they decide to ban this card. I'm sure we're about to see a Brainstorm flip the Tamiyo, and now our Veteran Explorers don't do a damn thing. Yep, there's a Brainstorm. I really, really wish they had banned this card in the most recent BNR. If I had to choose one card in Legacy to ban, it would be Tamiyo, but I guess we're going to see if we can fight our way through a Tamiyo. Well, we hit a Cabal therapy, so let's hope they don't have a Force of Negation here. If it's just a Force of Will, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to name up the Beanstalk with the first one. Tamiyo, Felia, double Uro, and a Ponder. So the Uros we don't super care about. I actually think we want to take the Felia here. We are going to get a red and a black off of this one, because this gives us an option to be able to play Toph. If they flash in Felia here, then we take the Ponder. Okay, they do flash in the Felia. They can attack, blink, play an Uro so it gets in the yard, but then this comes back. I still think we're taking the Ponder here. I'm honestly surprised they even had two basics, because Ponder gives them selection. Uro is just a draw. And then next turn, what we hope to do is they don't draw a force effect. We Green Sun for Grist, kill the Tamiyo, and then we can set up to try to take over the game. There's also some tension between just saying fuck it and blocking with this Veteran Explorer and just having enough mana to cast the Alpha Deathclaw anyways. Okay, a Quantum Riddler, they get to draw one. So I'm assuming they're going to blink the Quantum Riddler. Oh, they're just going to blink the Veteran Explorer. Okay. So as long as they didn't hit a Force, we should be able to do exactly what we want to do here. So the hope is they did not draw a Force of Will. And we hit a Swamp. We're one mana away from this anyways. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead and trust that they didn't have a Force. They did not. We will grab a Grist. We will -2, sack the Veteran Explorer, and we are going to unfortunately kill the Tamiyo here. We will grab some lands. Let's grab a... I think we have to grab 2 green here regardless, yeah. Our opponent does not have any more. Tamiyo is down. And then we will pass a turn, and next turn we will play Alpha Deathclaw, probably blow up the Quantum Riddler. There's an Up the Beanstalk. Alright, so got their engine online now. We might have to blow that up before the Quantum Riddler now. Either that, or we gotta blow up the Felia. Another Quantum Riddler. Okay, well this is kind of a nightmare. Alright, opponent takes up their Tamiyo. They're probably going to blink this Quantum Riddler, attack us, attack Grist. Yes. We're going to blink this Quantum Riddler, and now there's a decent chance they have a Force of Will over there, but I guess we're going to have to just try to find out. Now, I think the first thing we need to do is kill the Felia, unfortunately. We hit an Endurance. Well, unfortunately, this is just play Alpha Deathclaw. If they have a Force of Will, we're just dead. Okay. We are going to blow up the Felia, take a beat for 6, turn this monstrous. Actually, well, no. Fuck. Yeah, I don't think we're getting back into this, unfortunately. We would need another kill spell for one of these Quantum Riddlers, because they're about to hit us for 8 here. Even if we turn this monstrous, we kill 1, we don't have the mana to be able to flash in Endurance to block. Meticulous Archive from the opponent. Maybe we're supposed to kill a Quantum Riddler there. They just have another Quantum Riddler? Jesus Christ. Quantum Riddler-tron over there. And they're holding up white mana specifically in case they draw a Leyline Binding. So yeah, they get in for 8 here. Even if we kill 1, we're still dead on the crackback. We do draw a Chaos Defiler to be able to kill something, but we can't do both. Ugh. This has been a rough one for Nic Fit, but maybe we can get some pity points back. On to the next round. Alright, lost the die roll, but I like this hand. It's pretty stable. We're going to go ahead and keep this. Tropical Island from the opponent into a Ponder. And did not shuffle off of the Ponder. Well, we'll play Forest, play a Veteran Explorer, and I guess we're going to see how many basics our opponent has here. We're going to go ahead and play our Cultivation, get our ramp on. And I think we're going to go ahead and get our... Well, no, we want to hold up this Assassin Trophy or be able to Malevolent Rumble. So we are going to grab a Snow-Covered Forest and a Snow-Covered Swamp. And then if the Flare of Cultivation resolves, then we will go grab our Mountain. Alright, so Sultai something here. We can pay for a Daze. That resolved. Well, we will grab a Mountain and a Forest. And we will put the Mountain into play. I think we're just going to go ahead and hold up the Assassin Trophy. See what the opponent is doing over there. This could be another Beans matchup. Another Ponder. Does not shuffle that one into a Misty. And passes the turn. We hit another Flare of Cultivation. Well, we'll play a Bossing Say. And we will go ahead and Malevolent Rumble. An Endurance and a Rise of Sozin. I think we're going to grab the Rise of Sozin here. And we could Cabal Therapy them off of this Eldrazi spawn, but I think we're going to wait. I still don't know what they're doing, so I'm not sure what I would even name here. An opponent is flashing in an Orcish Bowmasters. They're going face, so we can't fizzle that, but that's fine for now. We can always sacrifice the spawn to name Force of Will, and then play Rise of Sozin to mop with the board here, but this very much looks like Sultai Beans. Hopefully we do better than last round against Beans. Been to Fatal Push, okay. Witherbloom Command. So since this has 2 targets, I'm pretty sure it doesn't fizzle even if I sacrifice this, but it's going to die anyway, so I might as well. Yeah, it does not fizzle. They can get back their Misty Rainforest, which they do. So that makes me think they do have a Force of Will over there. We'll take 2 from their creatures. That's fine for now. We hit an Alpha Deathclaw. So we could start out with the Deathclaw, try to take something out here. They know about the Rise of Sozin. So, I mean, it might just be worth that anyways, just because they know about it. And if they Force of Will this, then we can get whatever they hit with Alpha Deathclaw? Okay, they do have a Force of Will. Pitching a Ponder, down to 3 cards. So next turn we try to Alpha Deathclaw, blow something up. Probably blow up their green source if I had to take a guess here. Grabbed a Bayou off of that, so they do want a second green source. I'm guessing that means they probably have an Uro. And we can't take them off of green entirely, which is a little unfortunate, but we can try. I'm thinking this is not Beans, and this is just like Sultai control. We hit a Forest. Well, we'll play a Forest. Try an Alpha Deathclaw. Hope they don't have another Force of Will. Hardcast Force of Will. Okay. So they did have one. They're down to 2 cards, though. Fetching with their Polluted Delta. Grabs an Underground Sea. I mean, luckily Orcish Bowmasters isn't a very big clock at the moment. Okay, they can Thoughtseize us. They're probably going to grab the Assassin Trophy. We can always Bossing Say to kill something here. Play to land, 1 card in hand, hitting for 2. And we hit a Beseju, so let's play a land. Let's go ahead and Flare of Cultivation. Just get some more lands out of our deck so we have more live draws. Grab our last 2 basics out of the deck. We will put the Snow-Covered one into play. And then we can Bossing Say a basic to block the Bowmasters. Opponent's going to fetch with their Delta. Okay. Plays another land. What is that last card in hand? Opponents just can't stop drawing lands, I guess. So I'm guessing that last card in hand is probably a land. And that... Whoops. Oh, I can only Earthbend as a sorcery? That's annoying. There's something to be said about maybe Besejuing away a land here. But if our opponent's flooding out, I don't think attacking their mana is really going to do much here. We hit a Cabal Therapy. I'm pretty sure they have a land in hand. We will Earthbend a land just so we have a blocker available to us. And play our land out and pass the turn. We could Cabal Therapy here just to make sure that what's in their hand is a land, but it was a Fatal Push. Okay. Well, they're living off the top of their deck now. We get our land back, so that doesn't super matter. But we do need to find an answer to what's on board here quickly. Luckily, we have all of the basics out of our deck at this point. So we should be hopefully drawing pretty hot here. Opponent gets in with their creatures. A Veteran Explorer. Well, we will play a land. We will Earthbend another land. And then we'll play a Veteran Explorer. And then I guess we might as well Cabal Therapy them. Maybe they have, like... I don't even know what they could have here. Like, let's name Force of Will just for the hell of it. Like, it's a Fatal Push. Okay. I mean, that's fine. I don't super care about Fatal Push. It's not like sacrificing our Veteran Explorer is going to get us any more lands at this point. I could get in with the Forest, but I think I'm going to hold back with it as a blocker. And they're going to Fatal Push our Forest. Okay. We get it back anyways. It was a free blocker. Our opponent is still living off the top of the deck, but I'm very worried about something like a Murktide Regent or like a Kaido or something. Opponent's moving to combat, getting in with the Orc Army. I think we will block it just to save our life total. We have no more basic lands we can get, and I'm assuming our opponent is out of them as well. This also shuffles up our library. Yeah, we have no basics to grab. Opponent does not either. They have one card in hand. Like I said, I am a little worried about something like a Murktide Regent. Okay, it was a land. We hit a Malevolent Rumble, so we will cast that. See if we can hit something relevant here. A Gris, a Pernicious Deed, an Endurance. We will take the Endurance because I'm so scared of a Murktide Regent here. And we will play the Endurance, shuffle their graveyard back in. Opponent is going to fetch, that's fine. I guess just to get the land back in their deck, but... And then we will go ahead and Earthbend one of our swamps. Just have another free blocker here. And then we will pass the turn. We're still holding up this Boseiju just in case they hit like a Baleful Strix or something. Because we did see that. And opponent's not bothering to get in. Okay. So I think we have transitioned on to the beatdown here. We hit a Green Sun Zenith, but unfortunately our Deathclaw's in the graveyard already. I think we might actually go ahead and go grab Grist here. Just try to get some value on the board here. And I'm guessing this means opponent drew a Force of Will. They did, okay. That's fine. We can go ahead and get in now. We will get in with the Endurance. I'm still holding this swamp back on defense duty here. Get another land back on D. We could have swung in and held the other land back, but I'm just holding it back in case they do find another removal spell. Okay, now we're at the point where we can start attacking with our lands, I think. I don't think that this Boseiju is going to be doing much here, so let's go ahead and play the Boseiju. And we will get in with everything here. And then we will play Chaos Defiler to blow up the Orcish Bowmasters. Ooh, they have another Bowmaster. Okay. There's actually a part of me that wants to hold back on this Chaos Defiler in case they hit a Murktide Regent, so I actually think I might. Alright, going to chump block everything other than the Endurance. We get our lands back from Ba Sing Se. And then we will go ahead and Earthbend our Boseiju. And still just hold up this Chaos Defiler in case they manage to find a Murktide Regent or something else big to be able to close this game out. They are looking down dead on board. Okay, managed to pick that up after a grindy top deck war. Against what our opponent's doing, yet again, we really don't have anything in our sideboard we care about. Like, there is a part of me that's worried about Murktide Regent, so I kind of want to bring in Leyline of the Void, but we already have Endurance. We could bring in Disruptor Flute to tack some of their stuff, or like shut down a Kaido, maybe? I think we might just run it back, and if we go to a game 3, we'll adjust accordingly. Okay, I like this quite a bit. We can go ahead and keep this. Bayou, I'm assuming into a Thoughtseize, yes. Do they take the Veteran Explorer, or do they take the Cabal Therapy here? They take the Pernicious Deed, okay. Well, we drew another Pernicious Deed, so we're going to go ahead and Cabal Therapy them. We're going to name Force of Will to try to make sure that our Veteran Explorer resolves next turn. Veil of Summer, Shoulder's Edict, Baleful Strix, okay. So they're probably just going to hold up the Veil of Summers? No, well, they're going to Ponder, okay. So they're still holding a Veil of Summer. And they did shuffle off of that. They have 2 Veil of Summer, so they're probably going to hold that up the rest of the game. But that does mean we can get them to play off curve. We got a Forest. We will play our Veteran Explorer. And then I think we're going to wait until next turn to try to Cabal Therapy. Because we're going to have to wait for them to tap out a green mana, which probably isn't going to happen. Okay, Baleful Strix. We can blow that up with Boseiju and they can't save it. Or we can just offer up the trade. Or we can go ahead and just slam this Pernicious Deed. I don't hate Endurance. Let's play Nurturing Peatland. We will offer up the trade here. They have 2 unknowns, so they would need to have Force of Will plus blue card to be able to stop a Pernicious Deed. Ooh, they were taking the trade. Okay. We will grab a black and a red here. They get some extra lands. We are going to go ahead and play out this Pernicious Deed now. Just so if they try to slam something big here, we have an opportunity to be able to blow it up. And we still have Boseiju up. We still have Assassin Trophy up, but we know they have Veil of Summer. And opponent appears to be passing the turn. Okay. We have another Endurance. We will play the Boseiju, hold up double Endurance. Orcish Bowmasters. Okay, that's fine. I don't super care about that. We can wipe that up. We know our first Endurance is just going to die. But that's fine because it gets that Shoulder's Edict out of hand. They're going to go into combat. So we are going to bait the Shoulder's Edict out of hand. And I can still pop this Deed for 2 to wipe up the board here. Alright, that does bait the Shoulder's Edict out of hand. We could flash in the other Endurance here. And I think we are. We're going to take some damage, but it gets some damage off of the board. I might be jumping the gun here a little bit, but I think it's worth trying to push here. We know 2 of the cards in their hand are Veil of Summers. Force of Will pitching Force of Will. Okay, that got 2 cards out of hand. And we still have an onboard way to be able to mop up what they have currently. So they have 1 non-Veil of Summer card in hand. So I think we are going to go ahead and mop up the board here. And then draw off of one of these Nurturing Peatlands. We hit a Green Sun Zenith. We will hold that for next turn. Fetching off of a Misty Rainforest. Life from the Loam. Okay. Into an Uro. So we could Green Sun for another Endurance to put this all back in their graveyard, which is honestly probably the correct thing to do. Alright, so they'll have a Life from a Loam and 2 Veil of Summers. So we know that our spell is safe here. So we probably should just Green Sun for another Endurance, get all of this back in their graveyard. Green Sun, X equals 3. We know this is going to resolve. And we are going to grab another Endurance, shuffle all of this back onto the bottom of their library. And then we can go ahead and crack this Nurturing Peatland to draw another card on their end step. And opponent's going to fetch with their Misty, grab an Undercity Sewers, that's fine. Kept something on top, okay. Gonna cast Life from the Loam, get the Misty back, okay. Into a Baleful Strix. Okay, this might be worth... If they're just gonna dredge here, they do dredge, no lands. This is going to be worth going ahead and popping off this Veil of Summer for, I think. Especially if they fetch here. Okay, we're going to do this now. We know they have a Veil. Yep, that's fine. We knew that was coming, but we're getting it out of hand before they can dredge anymore. We do know that they have... whatchamacallit here. We could flashback Cabal Therapy and then kill this in response, or we just have 2 Assassin's Trophies. Like, I'm not a big fan of doing it this way, but it's how we're going to do it. Because we need to just start pushing damage here. And they shouldn't have any more basics in the deck. They do not. Okay. And now we just start pushing damage. Unfortunately, we do not have a Pelucranos in the graveyard to get back yet. Our opponent has 3 cards. We have none. But we have a threat on board, and they seem to be flooding out. Alright, opponent is casting Life from the Loam to get back their Misty, which makes me think they don't really got much going on over there if that's all they're doing. Shoulder's Edict, okay. Opponent has 2 cards in hand. We're drawing off the top of our deck. We do have a redraw if we need it. We hit a Cabal Therapy. What could they have over there? If they had a Baleful Strix, they would have cast it. I'm guessing they have more reactive spells. Let's choose Fatal Push. See what they got going on over there. Bowmasters and a Brainstorm. Okay. Alright, they're flashing the Bowmasters now. This is our chance to be able to crack this Peatland to draw a card. Another Nurturing Peatland is not what we're looking for here. Like, this is still a very, very close match right now. Opponent cracked their Misty. I'm gonna guess they're gonna Dredge here? Yes, they did. Found a bunch of lands. Okay. So they can Wasteland, like, pseudo-Wasteland lock us here? But that doesn't super matter. Like, we're so basic heavy. I mean, it does cut us off of being able to Rise of Soza next turn. Okay, they are gonna go for the Wasteland lock, but okay. Alright, they're gonna Brainstorm. They do not Dredge. Okay. So they theoretically have 3 fresh new cards in hand. We draw a Flare of Cultivation. That doesn't do a ton, but it gets some lands out of our deck. We will grab a Swamp and a Forest. We will put the Swamp onto the battlefield, play the Forest. This one might be slipping away from us here. But we do have a game 3. That said, maybe we do want to bring in the Ley Lines. Now that we know that they have Life from the Loam in their deck. They do Dredge, okay. That Wasteland isn't really doing anything anymore. We hit an Emrakul, 5 cards. That drops us down to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nurturing Peatland is 7. So unfortunately we just gotta pass the turn. We gotta wait until we have at least one more basic land to be able to cast Emrakul. And opponent has a Baleful Strix, okay. I think we're going to a game 3. Opponent plays another land. Like, a Rise of Sozin does kind of stabilize us. If we can find it. We hit a Green Sun Zenith. We can Green Sun, grab... I mean, we could Green Sun for an Alpha Deathclaw. That might be worth it. See if they found another Force of Will in all of this shit. They did not. So we will grab an Alpha Deathclaw. Alpha Deathclaw will blow up the Baleful Strix. Okay, they are still willing to attack our lands. Alright, casting Life from the Loam, that's fine. Most of their hand is lands at the moment. 3 mana for a Barrogoyf. We're 1 mana away from being able to turn this thing monstrous. We hit a Malevolent Rumble, so let's go ahead and cast that. That gives us another blocker. We hit a Pelucranos and a Chaos Defiler. Well, we will take Chaos Defiler. That can blow up the Barrogoyf. We're still kind of just living on them, hopefully not hitting a Force of Will here. Alright, Chaos Defiler resolved. And we will choose Barrogoyf. And then we will get in with the Deathclaw. And they're going to block with the Bowmaster and the token just to soak up some damage. We're still presenting lethal on board at the moment. I don't think they want to Dredge Life from the Loam. No, they're taking a natural draw. They need to find an answer for what's on board. Holy shit, we take it down. On the board, going into the final round for some pity points. Alright, final round, playing for some pity points. 1 the die roll. This is interesting. We can Green Sun on 2 and then play Lazotep Quarry to sacrifice it and have a bunch of stuff open. I think we're going to give this a shot here. It's a little awkward. We will lead off on the Nurturing Peatland and pass the turn. Flooded Strand from the opponents. Apparently today is the day up against all of the blue decks. We draw a Malevolent Rumble. We'll play Viseiju. And we are going to go ahead and try to Green Sun for 1. See if this goes through. I'm a little worried about exile-based removal taking our Veteran Explorer. But we're going to give it a shot here. There's something to be said about waiting a turn and doing this next turn so I can Lazotep Quarry it before they can do anything, but cracking their Flooded Strand into a Hedge Maze. Okay. Kept something on top. This could be an Allure and Tell deck, but doesn't look like it yet. Ponder from the opponent. This could be another Beans deck. This could be another Sultai Control style deck. Like I said, this could be like Allure and Tell. And opponent does not shuffle. Finds a wasteland. Okay. Takes out the nurturing peatland. I'm actually kind of okay with that. We weren't really caring about that anyways, and it sets them back a land. We hit a flare of cultivation. That is interesting. So I think we're going with Veteran Explorer here. Get him for 1. I think we are going to flare instead of sacking the Lazotep Quarry, because this is free and gets us even more lands. And we will go ahead and grab a swamp and a forest off of this one. So grab a swamp and a forest. Okay, they grabbed 1 island off of that. So Assassin's Trophy on their hedge maze could theoretically be game here. But we're going to grab a swamp and a mountain off of this. We're going to put the mountain into play tapped. Then we're going to play the swamp. Then we're going to play Malevolent Rumble. I'm getting very much Allure and Tell vibes off of what's going on over there. Hopefully we find a Cabal Therapy. We do not. We grab a Pernicious Deed and a Grist. So I guess we'll grab the Grist. And then we could play the Grist, but I think we want to hold up this Assassin Trophy and the Beseiju just in case this is in fact Allure and Tell. Alright, opponent plays a Tamiyo. We do have an Assassin Trophy to kill that. Into a Mishra's Factory. Okay, that's... Oh, it's Standstill. Okay. Well, that's fine, because we can just Beseiju the Standstill, and they don't get any cards off of it. And then we can kill the Tamiyo with Grist. Okay, this is like the fairest of the fair things. I grab a Tundra, so this is just Bant Standstill. Okay. Well, we can play a peatland. We can go ahead and play Grist. They're going to brainstorm, so we are going to go ahead and kill the Tamiyo in response. They haven't had any counter magic at this point. Okay, Tamiyo's down. They shouldn't have any more basics. Okay, they do not. And I can always sacrifice the spawn to draw off of the Nurturing Peatland. Okay, they found a Force of Will. The funny part is we can actually Lazotep Quarry to get back the Grist. I guess we passed the turn here. And they pitched... Ooh, good. They pitched an Uro to that Force of Will. That's some desperation right there. A Knight of the Reliquary. Okay. Alright, so I should have enough mana to be able to Lazotep Quarry back the Grist. Because it would cost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I have enough. So we're going to do this. Target Grist. Tap everything. Wait, hold on. Yeah, sacrifice this to itself. Did I over-tap? I must have over-tapped somehow. And then we can go ahead and kill the Knight of the Reliquary. Sacrifice the spawn. Kill the Knight of the Reliquary. And then next turn we can try to Toff. Somehow my math was wrong and I had more than enough mana to do that. They could kill the Grist with the Mishra's Factory, and it looks like what they're doing, but that's actually completely fine with me. And yes, they are. They're going to kill the Grist. That's totally fine by me. And we hit an Alpha Deathclaw, so we can play this. We can get to the point where we can get the Deathclaw back, but maybe it's more important just to get it down now, save Toff for later. Yeah, we're just going to cast the Deathclaw. Blow up their Mishra's Factory. We might actually go after their white mana. Yeah, I think we're actually just going to blow up their white mana. We don't really care about this Mishra's Factory at this point. We want to keep them off of being able to have like Swords to Plowshares and stuff like that. And then we can make the Deathclaw monstrous next turn and take them off of their green mana. Alright, an opponent doesn't do anything. So I think we are just going to go ahead and Deathclaw, take them off of green mana, and present them with a 2-turn clock. Blow up their green mana. Make the Deathclaw 10-10. Present them with a 2-turn clock. I am going to go ahead and hold on to this land for Toff reasons. And since we saw Knight of the Reliquary and Uro, I definitely am bringing in the ley lines here for the next game. Alright, opponent scoops up game 1. So, second game, We are definitely bringing in our ley lines. The question just becomes is what do we want to take out for the ley lines? Pernicious Deed is a way to deal with what they have on board. They're not going to have a ton of creatures, and given the fact that I really don't know what they have, I'm tempted to take out these Cabal therapies. Since they don't have a bunch of creatures, I'm kind of tempted to take out this package right here of Chaos Defilers and Polukranos, because that's all really creature removal. But Polukranos is a finisher, and so is Chaos Defiler. And we don't really have much else to finish the game out here, but I think against our opponent, we are looking to grind the game out. So I think we might try something like this. Yeah, I think we're going to try this. If we go to a game 3, we'll adjust accordingly. I am a little worried about creatures, but we have Pernicious Deed and Assassin Trophy to be able to take care of them, and then Alpha Deathclaw, Rise of Sozin. We still have all of this shit, too. So I think we're going to try this and see how it goes. Alright, this is straight unkeepable. We got to ship this. It doesn't do anything at all. This can get us up to a Pernicious Deed, but not a lot else. I hate to do it, but I think we got to mulligan this one, too. The mulligans on this are rough. We're going all the way to 4 already. Alright, well, we are trusting that our Veteran Explorer gets us places, basically. An opponent kept on 7, so that's a little annoying. We are going to go ahead and start off with Nurturing Peatland, Cabal Therapy, Standstill. We hit a forest. We'll start with the Peatland. Cabal Therapy, our opponent. And we're just going to name Standstill. Just see if we can snipe that. And then Veteran Explorer, Cabal Therapy, something else. Alright, opponent is going to Brainstorm. Alright, we are going to name Standstill. They did not find counter magic off of their Brainstorm. Ooh, Rock's Warmonk. That is interesting. Okay. So they've got a Rock's Warmonk, a Wasteland, some Fetch Lands, a Hedge Maze, and a Knight of the Reliquary. So what did they hide with that Brainstorm? They're playing the Wasteland. That's actually fine. They can take that out. We'll just play Veteran Explorer. This is their only basic that we saw already. So we're just going to play the Forest. Malevolent Rumble, that's a good follow-up. We will cast Veteran Explorer. We will sacrifice Veteran Explorer and take their Knight of the Reliquary. And I think we're going to go ahead and grab a Swamp and a Forest here, so that we can play Malevolent Rumble. We can worry about our red mana later. Name Knight of the Reliquary. Ooh, sniped 2 of them. Hell yeah. Okay. And then follow this up with a Malevolent Rumble to dig for something relevant. Pernicious Deed, Rise of Sozin, Nurturing Peatland. I think we're going to take the Deed because it's a way to mop up this Rock's Warmonk. And then we will pass the turn. We also know this. Well, Beseiju they can go grab a dual land, so never mind. I was about to say this Beseiju we know is basically just Sinkhole, but it's not. Alright, they play the Hedge Maze. Kept something on top, okay. Well, I think we're probably just running out this Pernicious Deed then, unless we have something better to do. We hit a Flare of Cultivation. We will play the Beseiju, play out the Pernicious Deed. If they have a counterspell, they have to check the Rock's Warmonk, and then we will pass the turn. We can Flare of Cultivation next turn, but we're starting to run out of gas. And we know our opponent kept something good on top of the deck. Played a Flooded Strand, passing the turn, not even running out the Warmonk. I like that. And we hit a Forest. We will go ahead and cast Flare of Cultivation, get some more lands out of our deck. I think we'll go grab a red source this time. Grab a Mountain and a Swamp. We will put the Mountain onto the battlefield tapped. And then we're going to go ahead and play the Swamp since they know about it. Make them think maybe we have something else in hand. Not sure what they think we could have for 2 black and a colorless, but this does give us 3 mana to be able to pop the Pernicious Deed if we need to. Alright, opponent's fetching with their Flooded Strand. Found a Tundra. Played the other Flooded Strand. 3 unknowns in hand. Still not running out this Warmonk, so they don't have an answer to our Pernicious Deed yet. And we draw another Pernicious Deed, so we'll play a Forest and pass the turn. I mean, the nice part is this is another sweeper after the first Pernicious Deed. Fetching with their Forest, that's fine. We have all the mana in the world to do whatever we need, but we're giving our opponent way more time than I would like. Opponent's going to brainstorm. Okay. Plays a Misty. And running out an Uro. Okay. We have the backside of that covered. There's another fetch land, so they're going to be able to get it out twice pretty easily. We don't know if this War Monk is in their hand anymore. I would not hate an Endurance here. Okay, fetching with their Flooded Strand already. For a Trop. Into a Ponder. Okay. Shuffled off of the Ponder. Okay, so 3 unknowns in hand probably. They probably shuffled away the War Monk. We hit a Cabal Therapy. Let's go ahead and Cabal Therapy them. They've got to have a Force of Will in hand, right? Alright, we're seeing what they got. We can always sacrifice the spawn. Knight of the Reliquary, Rocks, War Monk, Swords to Plowshares. I think we'll go ahead and just take the Swords to Plowshares already. Alright, we will take the Swords. We can wipe up everything else on the board. So we know they have a War Monk, a Knight of the Reliquary, and Uro. Then we can pass the turn. We can wipe up the board pretty easily here. So, like, we can pop Pernicious Deed, kill the Uro, and then they're going to feel pretty safe running out the War Monk and the Knight. Ponder, okay. Did not shuffle off of the Ponder. Plays the War Monk, okay. I would like them to commit more to the board before I pop this. We hit an Assassin's Trophy. So we do know Assassin's Trophy is basically Strip Mine. So we got a bunch of interaction, but we still need to find a way to actually close this game out. The client is also lagging like crazy right now. Alright, we can let our opponent get in with the War Monk. We have some life to work with. I'm not super concerned about that at the moment. Alright, and they're just playing it safe here. We had a Cabal Therapy. Well, let's take that Knight. We need to find some finishers here. Alright, they got a Ponder, a Swords, and that's it at the moment. So we can go ahead and pass the turn. We can also pop the Deed, make them think that they can go ahead and grab their Uro safely, and then Assassin's Trophy the Uro, play another Deed the following turn. Alright, opponent plays Ponder. Alright, there's a Tamiyo on board. They have a Brainstorm to pop the Tamiyo. Or are they just going to get back the Uro? They're going to Standstill. Okay, I mean, this is a good chance to do the thing then. We'll let them get into combat. And then we will pop Deed for 3. Kill everything. We know all they have in hand is a Swords to Plowshares. A last attempt Quarry. Do we have any creatures in the graveyard worth getting back? Not really. Play a new Deed. And ship the turn. Like, we have a Veteran Explorer we can get back, but it's just going to die, so there's not really a point in it. Alright, a new Standstill. That's mostly fine. We hit a Nurturing Peatland. We'll just go ahead and play that. We can always draw with it. Opponent's going to pop their own Standstill to Brainstorm. Okay. I mean, a bunch more interaction, but nothing to really do with it. You know they're in desperation mode when they're popping their own Brainstorm to give me 3 cards. And we do have a Cabal Therapy in the yard to be able to take the Swords to Plowshares. They play a Wasteland. They're going after the last attempt Quarry. Well, we'll make some mana off of it. And then we will go ahead and draw. Like, we can go down 2 lands. We have plenty. We hit a Leyline of the Void. We hit a Green Sun Zenith. We actually could go ahead and Leyline of the Void here. And when we kill the Uro, it means that it stays gone forever. And then hopefully we can find a hole for this Green Sun Zenith to be able to just completely wipe our opponent off the face of the earth. Wow! Our opponent's playing some Commander over there. Rafiq of the Many. Okay. I like what you're cooking with there, opponent. Alright, we hit an Endurance. I'm going to go ahead and play Veteran Explorer. Then we are going to Cabal Therapy, sack our Veteran Explorer, get the last of our basics out of the deck, grab 2 forests. I don't know if they're still going to have the Swords to Plowshares in hand. They might. Okay, they did still have the swords. And then we are going to kill this Rafiq. They have no basics left. And then we are going to, whoops, wrong card. We are going to cast Endurance to wipe their graveyard off the face of the map. And then we have a whole shitload of interaction up to try to close this game out with. And they're living off the top of their deck. And their graveyard is now shut down due to this Leyline of the Void, so we don't have to worry about Uro anytime in the near future. And they scoop it up! Alright! Managing to come back in the back half of the league for some pity points. Alright, I like it. Man, I love me some Nic Fit, so this was an absolute blast to play. That said, of the variations of Nic Fit that I've played recently, I think this was probably the lowest powered one. I liked the synergies with Earthbending in theory, but it didn't really seem to pan out the way that I kind of hoped it would. By the time we were getting to actually taking advantage of the Earthbending mechanic, we kind of already had the game locked down, and it was mostly just to kind of try to buy a little bit of time until we found a finisher, which granted is one of the reasons it's in the deck, and it was super cool when it got to do its thing, but I feel like if you wanted to lean into the Earthbending mechanic more, you just need to Earthbend for bigger numbers than just 1 or 2. When I was practicing, I got to kind of pop off with Toph a few times, and that was super cool that I was essentially getting to Earthbend for free while still casting my other spells, but it still felt kind of weak with the creatures it was producing just being 1/1s or 2/2s, and it doesn't inherently give those creatures any kind of evasion like trample or flying, so they were still kind of just getting blocked easily by small creatures. I mean, it's a way you can attrition like an energy opponent out of the game if you can just slowly whittle your way through their board if you haven't been able to find a board wipe or something like that. But while it was fun and we did kind of get to see it do its thing, it was a little underwhelming. I really do like that these decks are taking up Lazotep Quarry, though. I really like the ability to be able to use that as a way to get creatures back from the graveyard or upgrade some of your little creatures after you've gotten your value out of them, like a Veteran Explorer or something. And there's also a really cool synergy where you can get it back with Grist, or get Grist back with it, so that you can reuse your Grist if it gets discarded, killed, or countered or whatever. So I actually really do like that these decks are starting to adopt Lazotep Quarry into the mana bases. Other than that, I don't really have a ton of comments on it. The sideboards felt pretty good, but I did find myself a lot of times not really feeling like I had anything that I actually wanted to or needed to board in. We kind of already have a lot of removal and interaction in the main deck that the sideboard is really mostly just for combo decks that you need to buy time against. So, especially when I was testing, there were honestly a lot of games where I just didn't feel the need to really sideboard between games. And that's kind of cool in the sense that it means the main deck is so rounded out that it can handle most situations on its own without needing to be adjusted. And it also makes a longer tournament a little bit easier because you don't have to think as hard about sideboarding with it. If your opponent's not really on a combo deck, you don't really need to be considering sideboarding. The only other thing I will say about this deck is, yet again, Emrakul really didn't do anything. We only ever got it into play off of a show and tell, and it just wasn't enough to deal with the bigger version of Emrakul. I did get to cast it once while I was testing the deck, and it basically just ended the game on the spot. The opponent actually scooped up as soon as it was on the stack, so it does have potential, but it just continually doesn't seem to be relevant in most matches, and you rarely ever get the chance to actually cast it. So maybe I would get rid of Emrakul for like another Alpha Deathclaw or something else to put into your Green Sun package for your finishers. But that's up to you if you want to do it or not. I know why it's in the deck. I can see the logic behind it, but it just continues to disappoint in every deck that I see it in when you're playing Nic Fit. But anyways, that was Jund Nic Fit for Legacy. It was an absolute blast to play. I will give this a thumbs up. It can grind. It can hang with the meta. But if you want to play Nic Fit, I'd recommend maybe playing a different version that doesn't lean so heavily on the Earthbend mechanic and play one of the previous versions you've seen on the channel. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you had as much fun watching as I did playing. I will catch you all in the next video. And as always, stay salty. Play any of the decks you see on this channel with a Mana Traders rental subscription. With a variety of tiers to fit any budget, Mana Traders lets you play whatever you want in whatever format you want. Use code DasSourKraut at checkout and become a better player today. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you like what you saw. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like and sub button below. They are free ways to support the channel. And drop a comment, let me know what you like. Any kind of feedback you got, your opinions on my gameplay, the decks that I play, any of that kind of stuff. If you really like what you see, go ahead and drop by the Patreon. Become a patron, get to read some of my tournament reports and some stuff going on outside of just Magic in my life that I'm going to start putting over there as kind of my own personal blog. Also, you can do donation deck lists over there, just the price of a league if you have a specific deck you want to see, or you have an idea you want me to brew around, something like that, go ahead and do that. Nothing is required. It's always appreciated, though. Any donations go directly back into the channel, covering stuff such as leagues for donation decks or the rental program that I'm a part of. I am a small-time YouTuber. I'm doing this for fun. I really hope you all like what you saw. I truly appreciate you all stopping by. I will catch you all in the next video, and as always, stay salty.